The family unit is seen as vitally important for Christians, and it refers to a unit of people who usually live together. A nuclear family is one where two parents live with their children and no other relatives live with them, whereas an extended family is one where several members of the same family live together, i.e. grandparents or parents or aunts and uncles. In contemporary society today, the concept of extended family is decreasing and people will be more likely to live as a nuclear family. For some, they will say the absence of direct support from wider family has led to relationship breakdowns, which wasn't really seen in the same way in previous generations. However, there are lots of different models of family, not limited to, but for example, blended families, so families where there might be step-parents living together after couples have remarried. There could be same-sex families, so parents of the same sex, or single-parent families as well. Christian teachings about the family can in part be found by looking at the Bible. Christian family structures would generally seek to follow the example of the life of Jesus, as Jesus was believed to have been raised in a family, and this nuclear family model is seen as a secure place to have a child and to raise a child. The Christian family is an important place for children to be raised to learn about God, and also to learn different morals, to learn about what's right and wrong. One of the 10 Commandments in Exodus 20 says, honour your father and mother. So this idea that children should respect their parents, but also that parents should care for their children. The Bible teaches that both parents and children have specific roles within the family, but for parents particularly, one of those roles is to help their children to understand Christian faith and to learn about God. We see that in Ephesians 6:4 and also in the book of Joel, where it talks about telling faith to your children. The local church or the local parish has an important role to play in supporting families as well, particularly in helping parents to raise their children and to care for them. One of the reasons behind this is that the Bible teaches children are valued by God and are an important part of God's family. We see that in Matthew 19 verse 14. Some examples of how the local church might support families, firstly by running Sunday schools as part of church services, a place where children can be taught Bible stories, learn about Christianity, but also just to play games and make friends. As well as Sunday schools, churches often run groups for parents in the wider community, just as a place for relaxation and connection. Churches are also places where rites of passage might take place, so things like baptism or dedication ceremonies, confirmation ceremonies or marriages, all as ways to help support the family unit by providing a sense of community and celebration. Some churches will also run counselling services, so practical ways to help families through difficult times. Within a conversation about Christian beliefs on the family, it's also important to consider Christian teaching about family planning. This refers to the idea that parents might want to control the number of children that they have, or to control the space between the birth of each child. Contraception just means any method that stops a baby from being conceived, anything that stops a woman from falling pregnant. And there are two types of contraception. Firstly, natural contraception, which is birth control using the woman's natural menstrual cycle. Secondly, artificial contraception, so some form of device or medication to prevent pregnancy. Some Christians would only support natural contraception. This would apply to the Roman Catholic Church, generally speaking, and to some Protestant believers. The reason for this is that the purpose of sexual relationships is believed to be to procreate, to have the possibility of creating children, and contraception obviously prevents that from happening. A few more arguments to support this idea of natural contraception. Firstly, natural law, as taught by Thomas Aquinas. This forms the basis of a lot of Roman Catholic Church teachings, which says that one of the purposes of life is to procreate, is to have children and to raise a family. So artificial contraception is not supported because it interferes with what might happen naturally, whereas natural methods of contraception, such as planning when a couple might engage in sex, is accepted because it's seen as not interfering with nature's way. However, there is room for interpretation within the Catechism, the teachings of the Catholic Church, which says that spouses, partners, may wish to space the birth of their children. So long as it's done for the right reasons and not out of selfish desire, then it's acceptable for parents to plan when they have their children. The Catholic Church also recognises that if a couple are infertile, so if they're unable to have children, the sectional act is still worthy. They would say it's an important way of strengthening the union, the connection between husband and wife. Other Christians, such as Church of England or Anglican Christians and more liberal Christians, would accept artificial contraception as well as natural contraception. They would believe that sex can be for pleasure as well as for children, and it's an important part of connection within a marriage relationship. Christians who accept both natural and artificial methods of contraception will argue that it can be sensible to limit the number of children you have so that you're able to support them fully. They might look to things like situation ethics, so the teachings of Joseph Fletcher, which says to do the most loving thing in each situation. You must have the means to raise children properly. A quick knowledge check to finish. Firstly, state 3 reasons why the family is important in Christianity, and secondly, can you give 2 examples of how the local parish might support families, explaining why. Thirdly, why do some Christians only accept natural methods of contraception? And finally, why might some accept both types of contraception?